With the new announcement of the new characters from the 1.1 livestream, Honkai Star Rail is going to present us with two new 5-star characters, which are Silverwolf and Luocha. But the question is, who should you pull for? Hello everyone, my name is Ray, and in this video, I'm going to help you decide which character you should get in version 1.1 of Honkai Star Rail. So, let's get into it. Before we continue, I just want to say that I'm not forcing anybody to pull for any of the characters mentioned. I'm simply here to bring you a short analysis of the characters and discuss how they can be viable for your team. Of course, the decision is still yours to make, and I'm not here to judge it. First of all, we're going to discuss her viability for your team. Silverwolf is a quantum character taking the nihility path. She excels in debuffing the enemies and supporting her teammates' damage output. What makes her a great unit though is her skill. Now, to explain this in simple terms, her skill at level 1 has a 75% base chance up to 90% when the skill is maxed out to apply one weakness of an on-field ally's type to the target enemy. Keep in mind that this base chance can still be increased with the effect hit rate stat. Furthermore, this skill also reduces the enemy's damage res to the weakness type by 20%. However, if the enemy is already weak to that element, the damage res reduction will not be applied. To visually explain this, let's say that I had Silverwolf in my team and she uses her skill. She will pick any of the elements that my team has and add it as a weakness to the enemy. Along with this, she will reduce the damage res of the enemy to that weakness type that she added. However, if Silverwolf applies a weakness type that the enemy is already weak to, the damage res reduction will not be applied. Moving on, this skill also has a 100% base chance to reduce all type res of the enemy by 7.5% up to 11.25% when the skill is maxed out. So if you got the 20% damage res reduction earlier, then you can get a total of at best 30% damage res reduction. And lastly, this skill deals quantum damage based on Silverwolf's attack. Moving on to her ultimate, basically this just reduces the enemy's def and at the same time deals huge quantum damage based on Silverwolf's attack. And the last skill that I think makes her viable is her technique. Basically, this will deal quantum damage to the enemies and essentially this will reduce all of the enemy's toughness meter regardless of their weakness type. And the enemies with their toughness broken will be applied with the quantum weakness break effect, which is the entanglement. As for her build flexibility, I'd say she's pretty flexible, as many of the nihility light cones are great for her. Not to mention that she is actually going to get her own free-to-play light cone that you can get from an upcoming event in the version 1.1 update. Other light cones like Void, Goodnight and Sleepwell, Pearls of Sweat, Eyes of the Prey, In the Name of the World, and obviously her signature light cone, Incessant Rain, are also great for her. But if you are a free-to-play player, I suggest you get the new light cone from the upcoming event because it is better than any of the other free-to-play options. As for her relics, the 4-piece set of either Musketeer or Brilliant Stars are a great option, with Brilliant Stars being slightly better. But a more flexible option is a combination of the 2-piece set of both these relics. For the Spear and Rope set, the Panglatic is the best and only set that you can give her. Now it's time for the pros and cons. For her pros, she can add weakness to the enemy, she can reduce the enemy's def, she is easy to build, she can boost allies' damage, and she is an overall great support. The only cons that I saw from her is that her skill is completely RNG. Moving on to Luocha. He is an imaginary character that takes the abundance path. He excels in providing heals and survivability for his teammates. Just like Silverwolf, Luocha is a very good unit because of his skill. To simply explain this, when Luocha uses his skill, he restores HP to a target ally based on his attack. Meanwhile, he gains 1 stack of Abyss Flower. Additionally, when an ally's HP drops at 50%, an effect equivalent to this skill will be automatically triggered without consuming any skill points. But do note that this effect can only be triggered again after 2 turns. Moving on to his ultimate, once used, this will remove 1 buff from all enemies and deal imaginary damage based on Luocha's attack. Meanwhile, Luocha gains 1 stack of Abyss Flower. Now what is Abyss Flower? Based on his talent skill, when Abyss Flower reaches 2 stacks, it will consume all of it and create a field. In this field, when any enemy is hit by an ally, the attacking ally restores HP based on Luocha's attack. Lastly, for his technique, when used, he will immediately activate the field from his talent skill at the beginning of the battle. For build flexibility, I'd say that he is not as flexible as Silverwolf because he can only use 4 out of all the abundance light cones, which are the Cornucopia, Post of Conversation, Shared Feelings, and his signature light cone, Echoes of the Coffin. The other light cones are either not viable enough for him or just completely useless. And as for the relics, his only option is the 4-piece set Passerby, although you can get away with just having 2-piece Passerby and a 2-piece Wastelander, but overall 4-piece Passerby is just the best. For the Spear and Rope set, the 2-piece set of Space Sealing Station is the best one. Now moving on to pros and cons. For the pros, he is a very good healer. I'd even dare say that he is better than Vilo in some way. He can boost your ally's survivability, he can remove buffs from enemies, and overall, he's just a really great unit. The cons that I found from him though is that he is a little bit hard to build because he is picky when it comes to his light cones and relics. Overall, you might struggle building him. He also uses attack as the basis for his heals, so meaning you're gonna have to focus more on attack stats, which might make him squishy in battle. But you can get away with this by having a shielder or another healer in the team. And that wraps up everything. Usually this is the part where I would compare both characters. However, these characters have different paths. Silverwolf takes the Nihility path, so she debuffs enemies, and Luocha takes the Abundance path, so he heals allies. Therefore, I can compare them because they both have their own use and their purposes. It all comes down to their viability that depends on your team. So, the decision is still yours to make. Me personally, I'm going to get Silverwolf since I already have 2 healers. Plus, Silverwolf's drip is very cool and she plays games and she's an introvert, so I really like her. But how about you? Who are you pulling for? Anyway, I hope this video helped you decide and understand the characters that are coming to version 1.1. Thank you all so much for watching and good luck with your pulls.